War Thunder commemorates the Great Patriotic War, PlanetSide 2 squashes bugs and then shows us how it's done, Dawngate keeps peace with Ronin, and Skyforge shows us what happens when gods and aliens collide. What's happening, guys? James Blonde here with MMOHuts.com with a quick weekly recap for MMO news and announcements for the week ending October 6th, 2014. And starting out the news this week, we've got a brand new English trailer for Kingdom Under Fire 2, coming all the way from the Tokyo Game Show this past week. Unfortunately, no new information came in indicating when this English version of the game might be available in the US, so basically some of us can think of this as an epic teaser, while others, like in Southeast Asia for example, can smile at what they've already been playing. Next up, World of Warships developers put out a new video showing off the real-world Cruiser Aurora and her digital transition into the game. This video doesn't exactly have verbal explanation of the process, but it's fairly easy to see visually that the dev team studies the heck out of whatever ship, tank, or plane they plan to introduce into the game, all the way down to the thickness of the metal. And even though we're still waiting on some gameplay instead of, videos like these, it's still cool to see actual subjects side by side with the final product in the game. War Thunder also put out an awesome live-action video this past week in commemoration of the Great Patriotic War and celebrating the start of the Battle of Moscow, which helped turn the tide against Axis forces in World War II. This new trailer from the Russian Comic-Con last week emphasizes how important the combined actions of each individual were for overall victory, whether dogfighting with the enemy in the skies as a pilot or engaging in heated ground-based combat as a tanker to support ground troops. It's a very well-produced live-action trailer. It's worth checking out. And in our last bit of war game type news, Armored Warfare revealed more information last week about its PvE missions, detailing how difficulties work, as well as some of the tasks players must finish in order to complete a mission. Now, missions are divided into 3 levels of difficulty: easy, regular, and difficult, with players gaining more experience, reputation, and game currency based on the difficulty of the mission. In order to complete a mission, teams receive different battle tasks that include both main tasks, which are critical to the success of the mission, as well as additional tasks that have an impact on the amount of rewards received for completing the mission. As of now, there are 5 different types of primary tasks that make up a mission. To find out more about mission types, head over to the MMOHuts site post to get all the individual details. Also from my.com, a new trailer was released for Skyforge this past week. This time it's all about the alien invasions. Now, it is indeed a badass trailer, as always, but it does go to show when robot soldiers and even mechs that are created by gods get overwhelmed by alien ratmen, at least that's what they look like, that means it's time to send down the gods themselves in order to get the job done. But hopefully this means we'll see some epic siege warfare gameplay before too long. Next up, Sony Online Entertainment and the PlanetSide 2 dev team implemented an onslaught of bug fixes this past week and various updates based largely on community feedback. I know a lot of you guys have been talking about that recently. But not only did they do that, they also showed the community the process for taking care of these bugs in a new video you see playing here called The Life Cycle of the Bug. And then they killed him. And it's kind of funny in its own way. But in addition to all that, a brand new seasonal event was introduced to PlanetSide 2 called Nanite of the Living Dead, featuring a new pumpkin hunt alert, and the chance to purchase limited time only masks, plus multiple other Halloween style activities. It is October, so it has begun. The Halloween stuff anyway. But speaking of October and Halloween events, the new behind the scenes October update video was released for RuneScape this past week, giving players the new Iron Man modes, smarter familiars, and of course plenty of Halloween events. The new Iron Man mode lets players progress through RuneScape alone, without the help of anyone else, with no trade capabilities, no helpful multiplayer minigames, no treasure hunter, no loot share, not even gifts from friends. This is designed to let players be self-sufficient, fend for themselves, and know that all the achievements they've unlocked in the game are their very own. But if that isn't challenging enough, you could also try it on hardcore with permadeath with only 2 earnable lives. The developers have also been busy working to improve the way summoned creatures behave in the game, making them smarter and more useful than ever before. Now familiars will get involved in combat straight away and keep fighting until you tell them otherwise. They'll defend you if you come under attack and do plenty of other useful and new tasks. So a lot is in store for RuneScape this month, so head over to the news post at MMOHuts.com to check out the new October behind the scenes video. Get all the details. Next up, it looks like F.E.A.R Online is back in the spotlight, this time ready to launch on Steam October 17th. And according to the official press release, the storyline in the game continues in cooperative scenarios that detail the terrifying occurrences surrounding the F.E.A.R team in parallel to the events of F.E.A.R 2 Project Origin. Well, at least it's based off of that one. Up to 4 players can team up and fight against both hostile Armor Champ personnel and hideous monsters lurking around every corner. Now, the game will be available prior to the Steam release for open beta via the Area Games portal on October 8th, for those of you who want to get a quick head start. Also from Area Games, Chaos Heroes Online transitioned over to open beta this past week on the 2nd, along with the release of a brand new open beta trailer you see playing here, telling the story and showing players just what makes the game stand out a bit. Chaos Heroes Online includes powerful consumables ready and available for players in the heat of battle. You can buy them at any time. The ability to buy items and re-equip in the lane, and of course the ability to teleport safely and tactically out of certain death. So if you're in trouble, you hit that Z button. The trailer here is pretty cool. Definitely not League of Legends cool in terms of cinematics, but the game itself is actually not that bad. And now you can try it out yourself in open beta. Perfect World Entertainment released a new video from the art director for Star Trek Online that walks players through some of the new experience coming to the game in Delta Rising, the biggest expansion to the game to date. Now, this update is set to include new gameplay mechanics, Tier 6 starships, and a brand new adventure zone. To prepare for Operation Delta Rising, the Federation, Klingon, and Romulan commanders have formed an alliance against an entirely new enemy, an unknown new enemy. The level cap has been increased to 60, unlocking a whole new tier of abilities and gear along with intelligence powers for both ground and space, which seems to be pretty legit, but you can get plenty more information from the walkthrough video at the MMOHuts news post from the link in the description below. Ironically, on a similar note, BioWare announced a brand new expansion for Star Wars The Old Republic this past week called Shadow of Revan, where players will face Revan, one of the galaxy's most feared characters. This expansion offers 5 new levels of story-driven missions, an increased level cap of 60, new worlds to explore, high-level multiplayer flashpoints and operations to join friends in dynamic challenges, and plenty more. In Shadow of Revan, a long-hidden sect of extremists has emerged from the ongoing war between the Sith and the Galactic Republic. This group is led by Revan, the former hero of the Jedi Civil War, and these fanatical Revanites are gathering an army with an apocalyptic plan that will leave the Republic and the Empire in ashes. Sounds like a pretty big expansion if you ask me. And as a subscription member, pre-ordering the expansion gets you access to several exclusive perks, but the official release date for the new expansion is set for December 9th. Next up, Elsword introduced a new first job change for AD as the Arc Tracer. Now AD further develops the Dynamos to be able to gather L energy on their own. Specializing in long-range attacks, AD can now call on drones through the new Dynamo Factory, and he can even switch between different types of drones when necessary. Choose this job for AD and prepare to deliver massive psionic explosions, deploy shock-inducing drones, and activate Nazad armor to go into Dino Config mode to extend your combos and deal greater damage. AD is now officially more badass than he was already. Now this next piece of news is something I know you guys are just dying to hear about because it's an all-new MOBA called Shards of War. Now to be fair, this one does look to be kind of fast-paced. Plus it's all sci-fi and stuff. So I guess that's good. Okay, so the game is published by Big Point, and it's supposed to be a new twist on traditional MOBAs. Well, they all say that, unfortunately. This one focuses on speed and using W, A, S, and D for movement instead of mouse click while sticking with the traditional top-down approach. Now, I've got to be honest, from the gameplay that you see in the video playing here, it kind of looks interesting in regards to the firing mechanics. Maybe it'll be a little bit closer to Air Mech rather than trying to compete as an alternative to League or Dota 2. I guess we'll just have to try it out and see. And speaking of MOBAs and ones I don't mention often, Dawngate introduced a few new updates this past week. First, introducing the Dawngate Chronicles series that explains the story and origins of the Dawngate and the Shapers. They've also released patch 36 this past week, introducing Ronin, the Peacekeeper, along with additional changes and bug fixes, of course. Now, Ronin to me is like an adult-sized version of Puss in Boots. He's a ranged physical damage carry that does best in the gladiator role with mobility and empowered basic attacks. Actually, he's probably a shaper that I would enjoy mostly. I'm not quite sure yet. Either way, if you want to know more about Ronin, head over to the news post at MMOHuts.com from the links in the description below. And finally, for our last bit of news, I leave you with this ridiculous video from Hi-Rez that needs absolutely no context. Just, you know, don't let it get stuck in your head for some reason. Anyway, while that's going on, if you're looking for more information about the news featured in this week's recap, check the links in the description below. Otherwise, head over to MMOHuts.com/news for even more news. Feel free to discuss the news in the comments below, or head over to MMOHuts.com/forums. But until next time, guys, that's going to be it for me. I'm James Blonde. See you out there, gamers.